Hey everybody, welcome back to the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. The final installment of the review process of our round one victory against the Richmond Football Club. This is the player ratings video. It's good to be back. For those of you who are new to the channel and new to the player ratings video, first of all, welcome. Welcome. It's good to have you here. I'll explain a little bit about how this video works in a moment. For those of you who know how this works, welcome back. Good to have you. Now, these player ratings videos are sponsored by doinabit. My man Mark Sanders has started a company. This is the second year that we're working together, and I'm very mindful of working together with companies and working together with brands and sponsors. I want them to align with the message of the channel. Now, doing a bit is all about doing a bit. Whether it's reading a book, whether it's going to the gym, working on yourself, whatever it is, you are doing a bit. Now, Mark's got a company here. Activewear, really comfortable stuff. I've got the link to his website in the description below. If that's not your go, then it would be very much appreciated if you could go and support his Instagram page. Give it a follow. The link will also be in the description, and we will go from there. Now, how the player ratings video works. I will essentially start the conversation. You will finish it in the comments below. I'll give each player that played a rating out of 10. Based on a few things. Well, the things that I look for are obviously what was the player's role in the team, what is their standing in the team, their seniority, etc. A young player that does very well will obviously score very high if they have a solid game. An experienced player, a senior player gets a little bit harshly scored, I think, but at the same time, when you've got someone like Patrick Cripps, for example, today, captain, expectations are there, and when he performs, he gets the kudos. So looking forward to that, looking forward to starting the conversation and having you finish it. And without further ado, let's just get right into it. I'm going to talk about the team as it was named, and we'll go from there. So starting in the back line, Wiedering, McDonald, Mcgovern. Wiedering, I didn't think it was his best game. I think he even said it after the game that it wasn't. He didn't have as much of an influence as what he probably has in the past. I thought it was an interesting setup with the defensive scheme, very much a team defense, which we love to hear. Not necessarily focusing on making one player a star, but I thought he was good. I thought he definitely got his job done. He just didn't elevate to that star performance that we've come to expect from him. I gave him a 6 for his game. McDonald, love Oscar McDonald, love what he brings. He's a guy that I have very little expectation of other than just stop his man and play his role. Started a little shaky. Quite a few marks were marked against him, just getting outmarked, body positioning. But after that first quarter, I thought he really settled into the game. And then I thought his third quarter was absolutely outstanding. I really did. Quite a few intercept marks. He finished the game with 10 intercepts. Finished strongly. I gave him an 8 for his game. I really enjoyed what he brought to the table, and I'm hoping that we can get more of that as he gets more comfortable with the group. Mcgovern, I gave Mitch a 9. I thought that was the best game, maybe the best game Mitch has played for the Carlton Football Club. Just looked assured, looked confident, took intercept marks. His kicking was on display. Makes you wonder why they didn't make the move earlier, but everything happens for a reason. I loved his game. I gave him a 9. Nick Newman, Zack Williams, and Adam Sard. Newman and Sard had similar games in the sense that they started pretty slowly and then got into it. Newman I'll start with here. I gave him a 6 for his game. His defensive work is probably something that's going to go unnoticed. I was fortunate enough to be at the game, so I watched a lot of the work that he did behind the ball. He did a lot right defensively, just didn't get as much of the ball. But ultimately, when you've got so many players in that back six, you've got to have a couple that are focusing on defense, and I think he was one of them and probably sacrificed his offensive game. So I gave him a 6 for his game. Let me know what you think. Zack Williams, this was an interesting one. A lot of people messaged me after the game saying, what do you think about Zack Williams? It was only 11 disposals. I really watched him closely on Thursday night, and I thought his work rate behind the ball was first class. I thought one of the big questions going into the game was, what do we do when Dustin Martin goes forward? How are we going to combat that? And I thought his defensive work on Dustin Martin, particularly in that second half, was exemplary. So I gave him a 7 for his game. That might even be a little bit harsh, but obviously want to see him impact the game offensively a bit more. But again, it's difficult because I'm on the outside. I don't know what his instructions were on the inside. So I found it to be right to give him a 7. Sard, very much like Newman. Started slowly, probably a pretty slow first half, but the second half, when the game was really up for grabs, he lifted, particularly in that fourth quarter. I think it all started for him in the second or the third quarter. He had the chase down tackle, 4 minutes 40 to go, and then fourth quarter, inside 50 to Cripps for his third goal, and just lifted for the team. So I gave Sard a 7. The centre line, Setterfield, Cripps, O'Brien. Setterfield thought he did his job pretty well. He and O'Brien seem to be the two players right now that the fans, or some of the fans, not all of us, but some of the fans probably have a predisposition to get a little bit frustrated with, and they want them to be stars or they want them to be something else. But I thought Setterfield played his role well, kept his width, plugged the holes at the ground, worked really hard up and down the ground, and when the ball was in our defensive half, he was just an option, kept being available for a handball. And then when it came time for him to be around the contest, I thought his hands in traffic were pretty good. And that's Will's strength, in my opinion. His hands in traffic are really good. And it's tough because you've got so many other midfielders ahead of him, Cripps, Walsh, Chera, Hewitt, even Matt Kennedy, who do the stuff inside. So Setterfield has his moments where he gets to display that, but ultimately he's more so playing on the wing. So I gave him a 7 for his game. I thought he was solid. Cripper, it's a 10. It's the captain. I place a lot of gravity on him, a lot of gravity on the leadership. When things are not going our way, I look at him straight away. He's the first person I look to get us going, whether it's barking an instruction or lifting and winning an important contest. And he seemed to do that every time we needed him to take a moment, whether it was kick a goal, kick a set shot, or just win a contest and get a handball out. He seemed to do it. So I gave him a 10. Lockie O'Brien started a little iffy, I thought, at that shank kick early in the game, 10:26 to go, and I could just sense the groans in the crowd, and I was hoping that we wouldn't get on his back too much, but he seemed to be okay. Had important moments where some great inside 50s. I think, well, first of all, there was the assist handball to Cripps for Cripps' first goal in the second quarter. Then there was the inside 50, beautiful kick to Corey Durden with 11:52 to go in the second. So he was okay. I thought he played his role well. I found a way to give him a 6 for his game. The half-forward line, Matt Owies, Zach Fisher, and Corey Durden. Owies probably didn't have the impact on the scoreboard that he would want to have, and he didn't win a lot of the ball, but his pressure was really clear to see. It's really evident to see what we're trying to do there with our smalls, and he does bring the heat. I gave him a 5 for his game, a pass mark. Would love for him to hit the scoreboard, then that score goes a bit higher for me. Fisher, not too dissimilar to Sard and Newman in that he started a little slow, didn't really get into the game until probably the second half. Ultimately, it might not be your game, but it can certainly be your moment. And I thought he had one of the most important moments of the game. Jack Martin had kicked a goal to put us in front, and then pretty much the next contest forward, ball goes in our 50. Fisher gets the ball, reads it pretty well, gets the handball, bangs it on the boot, kicks a goal. And it was one of the loudest roars I've heard at the MCG since, dare I say it, Chris Judd kicking that goal against the Tigers in 2013. So I gave Fisher a 7. I thought the way he lifted in that fourth, he and Sard and De Koning were probably the three that really elevated themselves. And so I found a way to give him a 7. Corey Durden, I'm just so proud of him. I think this was the game where he puts himself on the map. I thought I noticed him early, really up the ground, providing an option. He seems to have all the boxes ticked. He's tough. His pressure is there. His handballs are clean. His kicking is good. He keeps it low, doesn't blaze away. It was good to see him kick that first goal. He also, I think the other important part about him that hasn't been spoken about yet, but I'm sure will, is his footy IQ. Now, Cripps has a shot on goal, a running shot on goal in the second quarter. Corey Durden could have easily marked that ball and kicked a goal for himself, but it seemed like he sensed what the right thing to do was. Let the ball go through for a goal. He understands that if Cripps is up and about, we're a little bit more up and about. The crowd roars a little bit louder, and I think it gives Cripper confidence, which in turn gives the rest of them confidence. So I like that moment from him. He's very unselfish. I think we've got to work on that. I think there was a passage of play in the third quarter where he got it on the wing, shook a player, and then he squared it. Did the team thing. I think in that situation, he probably has a shot on goal, but that's just me being completely biased. But yeah, honestly, very proud of him. 14 touches, 2 goals, plenty of pressure. I gave him a 10 for his game. Curnow, Mackay, and De Koning. Curnow, I found this one interesting. Just seemed to not get in the contest. His reading of the ball was just off early in the game. He didn't seem to be able to grab the ball and just get enough of it. There was a moment where they tried to get him a goal and it just ended up fumbling everything in that. I think it might have been in the third quarter. I could be wrong on that. But look, not his best performance. I don't know. Was it his energy levels? Was it the occasion? Was it just that he's missed a lot of football and he's getting back into the swing of things? But I gave him a 3 for his game. Plenty of room for improvement, and fingers crossed it comes to him. But did the team thing, brought the ball to ground, halved the contest. They've been speaking about doing that, and it might not be your game every week, and sometimes you've got to do the team thing. So I thought he did that. He didn't necessarily get outmarked too often, did his thing, but ultimately I don't think he had the impact on the game that he would have liked. So a 3 is what I gave him. Harry, I gave him a pass mark. I gave him a 5. Kicked 1 goal, very similar to Charlie. Seemed to be misreading the ball at times. I'm not sure if that was a situation. Was it the lights, the new lights at the G? I'm not sure. But that happened. I noticed an article where he had some quotes last week where he was talking about his main focus being halving contests and allowing his smalls to operate. It's a very Charlie Dixon role from Port Adelaide. Big Charlie can take a grab, as we know, but he also is very, very good at making sure that he doesn't lose the contest. So he might not mark the ball, but he definitely brings it to ground. And I think Harry played a bit of a selfless role, similar to Charlie, but ultimately I just didn't feel like he had enough impact on the game to give him more than a 5. So I did that. DeConing, I gave him a 6. I thought his energy levels were there. I wasn't sure about having him and Pitto in the side. I wasn't sure if it was too tall. I wasn't sure if DeConing was fit enough, given that he had played 1 practice match after the blood clot in his shoulder. But it looked good. It looked good. The body's there. He's really looking a bit more like a man rather than a little boy in the face. And it was really evident. His body's filling out. Took a strong mark early in the game to get the crowd going. And he was another one in the fourth quarter. And I think I learned that when you have DeConing and Pitternet in the side, it keeps both of them more fresh. And in the case of DeConing, his fourth quarter was exceptional. He had a little bit more athleticism throughout the game, a little bit more juice in the game because he had Pitto there. And I think that was an important part of why he was able to impact in that fourth. And he's an ultimate competitor. There's no doubt about that. So I gave him a 6 for his game, maybe a 7. I just felt like he didn't impact too much in the prior 3 quarters. So I put it as a 6, but obviously you let me know in the comments. The followers, Pitto, Chera, and Hewitt. Pitto, I gave him an 8. I thought the way he competed all night was great. So many times he got his hand in and amongst the contest and intercepted some of the Richmond handballs in tight and just provided a presence, marked the ball behind the play, filled the hole, did the team thing, worked hard, smart hands to the midfielders when he needed to, has a few areas for improvement, but ultimately I thought his impact on the game was significant, so I gave him an 8. Chera, loved his debut for the club. He was really good, really good. I gave him a 9. Don't know, maybe that's a bit harsh, but I gave him a 9. That's what I felt was the right thing to do, because I think he can still play even better than that. I think early in the game, he had quite a bit of it, but just wasn't as clean as what I've come to learn about him. But take nothing away from his game. He was exceptional. So a 9 for Hewitt. For Chera, George Hewitt got the 10. I think just being there, watching him in the stands, watching the work that he does, which allows Cripps, which allows Chera, which allows Kennedy to operate, he's just so selfless. The blocking, the tenacious attitude and the willingness to do the little things that not everyone is, and it's infectious because it means the others want to do it for him as well. I thought he was outstanding, and he's going to be a player that gets overlooked, but I want to make sure that doesn't happen too often, so I gave him a 10 for his game. The bench, Jack Silvani, Kennedy, Doherty, and Jack Martin. Silvani hit the post twice. Unbelievable. Just unlucky. Provided an option for us. Probably didn't have as much of an impact as what he can, but nonetheless, it was enough. Tackle pressure's always there. It's infectious. I gave him a 7 for his game. Matt Kennedy, straight up, was a 10. He carried on with his preseason form. Just great to see. 9 touches in the first. Tough, hard tackling, never give up attitude, got plenty of the ball, kicked a goal, could have probably kicked more and hit the scoreboard a little bit more, and I just thought he was sensational. So I gave him a 10 for his game. Doherty, I also gave him a 10. I will never forget his goal. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget what's happened with him, but just the goal and what it meant and how it emotionally boosted the group and how they got around him and how it created energy. He went at 96% disposal efficiency, used the ball so well, and he just led from the front. And, obviously he's not our co-captain anymore, but nonetheless, he is a serious leader of this football club. And I'm just proud. I'm happy for him, his family. They must be over the moon to see him doing what he loves and to see him smiling after the game. So a real emotional boost for me and for the fans and for everyone involved. It's a special story. So I gave him a 10. And then Jack Martin, I gave him a pass mark. And the reason why I gave him a pass mark was because of his fourth quarter. I thought in the first three, didn't really impact the contest as much as what he can. But when it mattered, he was there, kicked a very important goal, a tough goal from outside 50, set shot, put us in front, got the ball rolling, a nice inside 50 to Charlie earlier before that. Massive tackle in the fourth quarter with 7 to go. He also set up Zach Fisher's goal, which ultimately, I don't know if it was a nail in the coffin, but it was an important one to give us, the 2-goal breathing room. So I gave him a pass mark, and that's it. We will go from there. Your turn now. You must let me know. Give me some feedback. Should any of these scores be higher or lower? I'll have the yearly tally from next week. So basically, if you think some of these scores need to be altered, one higher, one lower, or two higher, two lower, let me know. I will then have that available for you to follow throughout the season, and hopefully we can get the top 3 correct like we have in the last 2 seasons. I look forward to chatting about it. I look forward to enjoying the weekend, knowing that, we've already got the win, and I hope you do as well. Go the Mighty Blues.